diversity. I mean, you get them hyped up for Mr. Heartbreak.
Let's go green.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Hello.
Could you do it?
Is it on?
Did you
You're a hype buddy. Yeah.
I'm not.
Okay, I'm gonna be in that.
Testing.
We're good. Thank you.
Testing.
What time does this kick off? 55 minutes.
These are your parents?
Yeah.
What's your guys' names? I'm
Chris.
I'm Henry.
Henry, nice to meet you.
Erica, it's nice to meet you. Nice.
What grade are you in?
I'm a senior.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a senior.
I think you were talking about Henry the other day.
I was, yeah.
Said he's such a nice guy. He's a chill dude.
Try to be a chill dude. That's awesome.
Henry, are you scared?
I hit him.
What's your name?
I'm Gracie.
Alright. So, how do we get hype?
What's up, Ruins? So you should be like, that wasn't loud enough. I want to hear you. I hate when they do that. Ruins, that wasn't loud enough. There's like no one.
Freshmen, are you in the house?
I know they're in the house.
Okay, wait. How do I introduce them? Ask them.
Go say, how do you want me?
How do you guys want to be introduced?
I'm introducing you. You guys
got
are
it?
just
And I'm not being introduced, I'm just...
You just
So
turn
should I
over to
start?
Brooke.
Yeah, just be like, how are you guys doing today? I think they just walked in.
Yeah, this is the whole school.
Oh,
The whole school's looking at
Ella, everyone's staring at you.
can I go sit on the guys?
Ella, everyone's looking at
Guys,
you.
okay, I get it. I get what you're saying now.
I need music. How do we turn music on?
Yes.
Shia screaming?
Yeah. What's she doing?
We need welcome dance music right now.
Yeah, we do.
Like, that'd be so epic.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah. Is it really? Oh, that's tough. Let's start getting some.
Are we dropping beats? Beats and cats and beats.
Let's drop some beats.
Beats and cats. Wait, what's this week called?
It's cool to care.
Cool to care. Who's hyped for It's Cool to Care Week, baby?
Yeah. And then no one's gonna say anything, and you're like, we're better than that, Bruins.
Yeah! Bruins. Wait, give the
This
mic
isn't the
to
Bruin way.
Dally.
Yeah, give the mic
Dallas.
Hey.
Can you get us hype on the mic?
We can hype.
Yeah.
What?
They should not have given us a mic, bro.
Why are they giving
Don't
it
give
to us?
don't give Dallas the mic. Dallas the mic.
I don't know if I want to do it.
Guys, we can't hype people from like
True. Although we need people to get in here.
I'll bribe you with this.
Are we all speaking or what is I don't know. I think we're just
I
Literally
think
just
just
trying to
me.
hype everyone up,
yeah.
that's it.
We're not like all
It's just
saying
like at the
stuff
beginning and
like,
then we'll go step by step.
so why don't we just go over there?
Brooke has a script.
I have the script.
And then, yeah. I don't know what we're doing to be hype. We're just like, yeah. So how do you
This is what follows.
guys? Hey guys.
Right now?
Yeah, I don't know.
Everyone's not in it. You want it?
Sure. I don't know. I just feel like we
All right.
should use it. We're telling them to get to their seats.
Hey, let's go. Let's go. Let's get to our seats.
That was really good, Will. Thank you. That was GL.
Will you actually be able to walk through that thing with me? It's March 4th. What's
I can't. Jeez, it's taking forever.
Start singing. No, so it's like me, Alec, and then real quick is
I'll yell on the mic. We both can.
Didn't Stephen Heroes make it?
Hey, should I be like, alright, to start, we gotta get hype for our guests here. And then how do we get hype?
Ask Quorum.
Ask
John
Quorum.
Reyes is doing shit. Are you gonna do it? At both of them? Just start shooting.
Yeah. Can you just say, I need everybody to stand up and start clapping.
Yeah, so
We
that.
gotta get hyped for our-
Everybody stand up. But then Brooke says that. Brooke
I
says,
should what?
everybody stand
No,
up.
they're the hype people. I'm just introducing. Kelty can be hype.
Right now?
Sure. Are you guys ready for SOS?
Alright, get to your seats so we can get this thing started. Let's go. Yo, should I say some jokes?
Yeah, you should.
Alright, what's a good joke? I don't
We're-
know.
You're laughing,
Actually, how do
tapping.
you tell a joke? Like, actually.
Alright, I will.
Tell them to get to their seats quicker. These guys are so buns.
Dude, I'm joke brainwashed. Do you know any jokes?
Why did the chicken cross the road?
Why?
Why didn't the chicken cross the road? Because KFC was on the other
Hey,
side.
we're supposed to go in the center of the stage and make a line.
What?
This doesn't make any sense.
Don't say
That's
that.
terrible. Shot it. That's
Wait.
good.
Are we centered?
Probably.
Hold on, I have a chance.
Hey, should I say?
I don't know what Joe says.
Mentos. That's terrible.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, tell me a joke. I want to say a joke.
You should do like dad jokes.
I know, like what? Wait, I have
sounds
some
like
good
action.
ones on my phone. Do you think I should pull them
Stand
up?
Yeah.
up and then
I do.
just be like, can
They're
I
not gonna get mad at you.
everyone
They're
to
gonna think you're looking at like a script.
I think we should just
Here,
say,
make 'em
once
stand up.
everyone gets
Here,
settled, we should be like, can I get everyone to stand up and give our
Yeah, you
guest
have like
speaker
you have
a
like
warm
control
round of
over
applause.
that, right?
And then everyone start clapping.
And then I
Did you
start
hear about
gritty.
the guy who evaporated? He'll be missed.
That's good. That's
No,
good.
I like that. Yeah. Say
That's
it right
good.
now.
That's good.
All right, who wants to hear a joke? All right. Are you ready? Okay. Did you hear about the guy who evaporated? He'll be missed. All right, I got another one. Are you ready? Why would a pig dressed in black never get bullied? Because Batman has sworn to protect Gotham. All right, I got one more. My friend Jack says he can communicate with vegetables. Jack and the beans talk. All right. Anybody else got some jokes?
I got no joke.
You got jokes?
Yeah. What's the difference between a poorly dressed man on a tricycle and a well-dressed man on a bicycle?
Oh my God, what?
A tire.
All right, who's ready to get hyped for Cool to Care Week? All right, we have some awesome guests, but to introduce them, we need some of your guys' energy. So who's ready to get hyped, baby? Let's go. All right, is that good? All right, Brooke's gonna introduce them right now.
Hi everyone, welcome in. This is a Sources of Strength Assembly to go along with our monthly campaign of purpose and meaning. Our speaker will be Chris Harper. He taught under Mr. Davis, has taught on our campus, and done a lot of other things that I'll let him explain. He's worked within the Twin Falls School District, CSI, as well as local businesses, building teams and working to help develop into their best selves. So let's welcome him in.
Thank you. Those lights are pretty bright, so I'm going to try not to squint at you. But if I am, it's because of the lights. First of all, I want to thank Sources of Strength for inviting me to come and speak with you today. Education is near and dear to my heart, but more important than that is people like you. Young people with your lives ahead of you, lots of promise, and probably some challenges as well. As you can see up on the screen, my life has been a little bit interesting since high school. So I went from a struggling student to United States Marine to a teacher, an educational leader, and a business leader, and a lot more than that as well. But that's not where my story begins. What I'm supposed to tell you probably in a presentation is how to be successful. We've all seen people's resumes. We can get really excited about what other people are done, and those things truly matter in life. But they don't matter as much as the backstory, in my opinion. You'll have to forgive me for geeking out on a plot diagram here for a second, but we've all seen a story that starts off, the hero or the heroine has some sort of trial they have to get through. They accomplish the trial, and then it starts falling towards some beautiful resolution. But that's not life, is it? Right? All of us know that life's a lot more messy than that. My life has certainly been more messy than that. So let's start at the beginning. Back in the 80s, that was a fun time to grow up. I am probably older than I look. I'm starting to age now. But when I was a teacher, my first summer when I was in Robert Stewart, I was getting my class set up, and one of the custodians came in, and she was freaking out because she didn't think I was supposed to be in my classroom. She thought I was a student, which is pretty sad after you've served in the Marines, right? And you think you should look a little bit older than that. I had a really good upbringing for the first years of my life. As you can see, I don't know if you can or not, but I had a Care Bears cake there, some coveted Smurfs cutlery, and pretty dang excited about digging in. And this was one of my favorite outfits as a kid. I was definitely styling back then. I had the glasses that are about twice the size of my head, a Hawaiian shirt with suspenders. I'd like to see some of you pull that off. But it gets better down below. Unfortunately, I don't have a picture of the rest of it because underneath you would see hammer pants and cowboy boots. That was my preferred choice of dress as a kid. Things were going really well in life. I was just a happy-go-lucky kid, really happy, loved my family. You know, my biggest concerns was what was I going to find on TV to watch? And then life started to change unexpectedly. When I was about 7 years old, my mom and dad got divorced. You see, they got married really young, and they thought by creating a new family that they could erase some of the challenges they had growing up. Sometimes that works for people in life, and sometimes it gets pretty explosive and disastrous. So when I was 7, my mom met a new guy who eventually became my stepdad. He was a great man in a lot of ways, and I genuinely mean that. His name was Dave. I loved Dave. Dave would take me fishing. He would take me hunting. We even ate squirrel as a kid. It's weird to say out here, but I'm from Missouri. That's normal there, right? Don't go hunting squirrel in Twin Falls. I don't think that's legal, kids. Anyways, right off the bat, he took us to Disneyland. We went to Graceland, the home of Elvis. We did lots of cool things as a family. But if you looked beyond the surface, you could see that there was some trouble brewing. What I didn't know at the time was that my stepdad introduced my mom to drugs. And, you know, that's rampant throughout our world. I don't pretend like we're all innocent and don't know the things that happen in life. But when you're about 8 years old and you're around a family that both loves you and accepts you and makes you feel good, but at the same time is not responsible, you start getting this kind of dissonance in life of, am I safe? Am I okay? So I even had to go into witness protection at one point to get away from some drug dealers, which was kind of crazy now that I look back on it. By the time I was 10 years old, my mom had my little sister. And due to complications from some of the drug use, I had a little brother that I won't get to meet in this life. He was my sister's twin. And not too long after this period, my mom lost custody of us because she had to get institutionalized. Because not only was she dealing with bad drug habits, she started dealing with a lot of mental issues as well. So we went from this kind of carefree upbringing, me and my brother. My sister's my half-sister from my stepdad, Dave. My brother, who's 2 years older than me, he had to move with me to my dad and my stepmom, my new stepmom's house. And there was a challenge with that when I was 12 and he was 14, in that my dad's whole meaning after he had his first failed marriage was to go to work. And so he was a long-haul trucker, and he would drive as much as humanly possible, not only to provide for us as a family. I never got to see him, but that's what he put his purpose and meaning in, which later turned out not to be too good. Because one day when he was loading the back of a semi, in addition to driving long-haul trucks across the United States, even in our area, I didn't know that till years later, he would load other people's semis. And he was loading the back of a guy's semi one time, and the guy didn't check to see if his load was secure and done. And he pulled off with my dad still in the back. And my dad rolled out with the forklift and crushed his knees, almost decapitated him. There was actually another guy on another dock that same period that it did decapitate him. Well, you can imagine there's kind of a storm brewing here because my dad was not in a position to accept me and my brother at that time, but we had no place else to go. And my stepmom was on her 4th marriage, and she came from a lot of money, and she was not ready to have kids. So it only took about 6 months. This is a pivotal point in my life and in my brother's life. It only took about 6 months for my brother to say, I can't do this. It's really hard when your older brother comes to you and says, Chris, I can't do this. And so we had a decision to make at that point. What we ended up doing, and I think this decision changed the trajectory of our lives. And it's one of the reasons I love working with young people, because you might not know right now the impact that your decisions have throughout your life, but trust me, they do. They can change the trajectory of your life. So, what did I do as a 12-and-a-half-year-old? I helped my 14-year-old brother run away back to my mom's house. But there was something deep inside of me that I knew I should not do that. While I felt more love and acceptance at my mom's house, I knew it was not the right place for me to grow up anymore. So I chose to stay with my dad and my stepmom. I didn't feel a lot of love there. In fact, if you go back to the previous slide here real quick, you can see, if I can get it to click, how happy I am as a kid, right? Just a nerding out little kid with the suspenders. Not so happy, right? Life started piling up pretty quickly. Well, as you can imagine, that doesn't lead to some very good grades in school. I was usually a pretty good student. I liked school. I got pretty restless at times. I think education be done with you, not to you. I believe in active learning. We can talk more about that another time. But long story short, about 2 years after I moved into my dad's house, and it was pretty brutal, my dad got his settlement from that accident at work. And my stepmom immediately divorced him and met up with 2 guys in Germany. This is kind of stuff for you teachers. It's like Jerry Springer stuff, right? You tell people and they're like, what? That doesn't even make sense. I'm like, yeah, try living it. Anyways, my dad just now had 2 failed marriages, and he went down into a very deep depression. In fact, he became suicidal. So my job, if you might catch a trend here, my job after school every day and after cross country or track or newspaper, whatever else I was involved in at the time, I'd have to come home and talk my dad off the ledge of committing suicide. That's brutal for a young kid. Right? My grandpa luckily was there and he helped in those conversations. But as you can imagine, we talk about this in education, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you ever hear your teachers geeking out about that. If your fundamental needs are not met as a human being, it's really hard for you to show up to school, right? And a lot of us put on a brave face, but underneath the surface, there's a lot going on in a lot of your lives, okay? So one of the things I encourage you to do is to look around you and to see if there's people in your life that need your help, right? Or just a little encouragement, a pat on the back. It was cool to meet with some of the SOS kids over here because they were like cheering each other on, cheering me on. That's good stuff. The world needs more of that. Well, after a couple years of my dad dipping in and out of that suicidal tendency, he ended up disappearing. So I came home one day and I couldn't find my dad. Days upon days go by, I don't know where my dad's at, right? This is the 90s, we don't have cell phones. If you were cool, you had a pager. I don't know why, right? But eventually I got a hold of him through somebody, and I discovered that he was now living this kind of double life. He had found his second wind in life by hanging out in the city. We grew up just south of Kansas City, which has more people than the state of Idaho. So he started hanging out with people up there, and he just left me to myself, right? Now, I want to be careful here. We all have some sort of challenges or trauma or baggage or whatever we have to go through. I don't have any ill feelings to my family. None. I love them. I have a wonderful relationship with many of them now. But at that time, my dad said it was his second childhood. And so I was there to fend for myself. I had to work nearly full time. I still wanted to participate in cross country and track and everything else. And somehow, some way, I was going to have to do something about my grades. But I hit a breaking point because one night when I was at home alone and I was exhausted, we lived out in the middle of the country. I was just sitting there watching Friends on TV, and I heard a big bang in our walk-in basement. And I'm like, that's just your mind playing tricks on you. And then bang again. And then bang, door swings open. Somebody had just broken into my house, and I'm there by myself. What do you do in that situation, right? My dad didn't believe in having weapons in the house, so I had a Louisville Slugger or a pellet gun to choose from. I was not too excited about my prospects. So I sneakily went out of my bedroom and just kind of scaled the wall to where I could look downstairs. And there was a full-grown man staring back at me. Somebody I didn't know. And I was scared out of my mind, right? I'm sure you would be too. One of the SOS kids said, "You nervous to talk today?" Heck yeah, I'm nervous, right? Life's about feeling the fear and doing it anyways, right? You're gonna be up against hard things in your life, and you just have to make a choice, sometimes in a split second. So what I decided to do was scream like a wild man. And I chased this dude, both of us fumbling in the dark through my basement, out into my backyard, and we had 3 acres back there, so I had no idea where he disappeared to into the night, right? And so by that time, I had got a hold of my dad's phone number, and I called him, and I said, "Dad, some guy just broke into the house. Like, this is not cool. I understand you're living your life, but we got to do something here." And he's like, "You just forgot your key, didn't you?" I'm like, "Dad, seriously, dude, like, I could have died." And he's like, "I know you just forgot your key and you probably kicked it in. We'll deal with it later." So at that point in my life, I had to make another decision. I decided to go out on my own. This picture right here means a ton to me, because this was the family I got in place of family I didn't have at that period of life. When I was a freshman in high school, all 100 pounds of me, soaking wet, I thought I was gonna be the next Rudy. I was gonna play football and I was gonna make it big. I got hit a lot, right? And I could run decently. And early sophomore practice in high school, one of my coaches, football coaches, looked at me, he's like, "Harper, you sure are a good runner." And I'm like, "Is that a compliment? Or are you like putting me down, dude?" And so long story short, he said, "Look, right, you're gonna do well at cross country. Just go talk to the coach." Luckily, I moved my feet, and I did. And so not too long after that, I found myself kind of homeless and looking for a place to live. And this is what I think SOS is all about, is creating community amongst you. You don't have to wait for the adults to make all the decisions. In fact, one of the things I teach leaders and teams is a simple phrase of "I intend to." If you just decide to make a difference, and I intend to do this, right, you will find that C's part for you. You can do all sorts of cool stuff in life. So the guy, the kid that's next to me, kind of in my armpit, poor Matt, Matt Warburton, his family offered me a place to live. Chris McHale, the guy next to our coach there on the end, he also offered me a place to live. And not only that, they made me the cross-country team captain. I learned a lot about how not to lead. When your basic needs are not met and you try to lead, you're too focused on yourself, and that's not a good thing. So, as you can imagine, in high school, around my junior year, everybody's talking about their career plans. Well, I watched a lot of TV as a kid, and for some reason, I thought I was gonna be the next Indiana Jones and Walt Disney combined. It's not a real thing if you don't know. So I was talking to my counselors about my grandiose plans, and they just kind of gave me the stare like, "Kid, you got a 1.8 GPA. What are you talking about?" And so that was a hard blow, honestly, with everything else I was having to deal with. Well, I decided on another path. In the 90s, we had a lot of epic war movies like Braveheart, which I watched way too many times. And we had these awesome Marine Corps commercials where this guy would have to go through like this crucible and have to fight off a dragon, and then he ultimately became a United States Marine. I don't know, I'm a stupid kid, right? So I'm like, yeah, let's do that. And so that became my next goal. But the challenge was, with a 1.8 GPA, I wasn't gonna graduate high school anytime soon, and I needed to find a path. But what I really needed, and this is, I've read through the sources of strength material, there's 3 key words in that, and these are the things all of us need. I needed hope, I needed a goal to set my sight on. I needed help from the people around me. And then that would turn into strength later. So I'm gonna fast forward here a little bit and tell you some of what happened. Once I decided to become a Marine and I intended to do that goal, things started happening in my life that I couldn't have anticipated. I had a Marine Corps recruiter that I got hooked up with when I was 16 years old, and that man took me to everything, right? He's a brother from a different culture. He thought I wouldn't fit in well in downtown Kansas City, so he's like, Chris Harper, that's not a great name for you. And he said, you know what? You need a brother name. From now on, we're gonna call you Pookie Carlisle. Well, if you look about 10 and your name's Pookie Carlisle and you're trying to recruit hard people from the hood, that just doesn't go super well. But Staff Sergeant Smith was one of those heroes in my early life because he knew how to joke and to have fun with me, but he also knew how to show up when it truly mattered, right? So what did he and the rest of my school do? Well, I went from a 1.8 GPA my sophomore year to a 2-point GPA in 3 semesters. And how did I do that? Staff Sergeant Smith drove me across the state to the University of Missouri. Again, we didn't have a lot of online stuff back then, just chat rooms, and they were about useless. To take correspondence courses. Now you can imagine, that's a pretty daunting task if you have a 1.8 GPA in high school. You're like, I'm taking courses from the college? So he would take me and I would test out of courses. They would send me materials, I would go through all the materials and I would test out of it, and I would slowly get my grades back up. I had teachers that invested heavily in me. I had friends that just truly believed in me and my goals. And I will forever be grateful to those people. Our cross-country coaches. I had no business being the cross-country team captain, but they let me stick it out and learn a lot of things. I'm forever grateful to them. The Warburn's and McHale's, they gave me a home when I didn't have one. I slept in my car at times. I even ate ketchup packets at times. Not great. Staff Sergeant Smith, of course, for adopting me as Pookie Carlisle. And then I'll tell you what educators did for me as well. 2.8 GPA. My first semester of my senior year, they made me a student of the month. The other 2 students of the month had over a 4.0 GPA. They didn't have to do that. Not only that, they gave me a key to the city. And not only that, they bought my graduation regalia, my cap and my gown and my tassel. For after I graduate boot camp, I would go back and graduate with my high school class. Imagine the confidence that that gives a young person, that they had already purchased something that's gonna happen 6 months down the road. That's how much they believed in me. I'm forever grateful for them. I'm also grateful, again, for Staff Sergeant Smith, because he had an impact not only then, but as I journeyed into Marine Corps boot camp. But I want to pause for a second and have you think about that. My story is to help you in some way, I hope, or at least you can have a little laugh today before you go about your business. But I also want to acknowledge my story is not my own. I'm only here because other people showed up and cared. From friends to community members, educators, coaches, Marine Corps recruiters, unlikely place, right? We can do that for each other. So who's making a positive impact in your life? Okay, so I graduated high school a semester early, shipped off to Marine Corps boot camp, and that's a pretty brutal place if any of you have ever been. If you're planning on going, talk to me afterwards. I might give you some tidbits. But you can see kind of in the bottom right-hand corner, 2 weeks into boot camp, by far the youngest person there, 17 years old. There are guys that had already served in the Navy for 4 years in my platoon, and they made me the platoon leader, which was like, what? I was just trying to disappear and get out alive. Before I left for boot camp, though, and I don't know if Staff Sergeant Smith magically pulled some strings in the universe, he and another recruiter pulled me aside before I shipped out and said, hey, there's this thing called an honor man. You can be the leader of your platoon. We think you've got that. It's not something that you choose to do. You're chosen for it. There's no way I could have ever predicted that I was going to end up as the platoon guide. But it gave me some opportunities to learn more about leadership. Now, you might be thinking, what the heck does that have to do with Marine Corps? Well, obviously, life is not a box of chocolates in boot camp. And we'll get into the other two. Well, once I got promoted to be the platoon guide, that means somebody else got demoted. And his name was Recruit Dansby. Good dude, but was not happy that I took his leadership position. I was not getting any mail from home, right? We would do mail call once every 1 or 2 weeks. And long story short, I started getting big boxes of chocolate, giant teddy bears. That is not what you want to receive in Marine Corps boot camp, right? You don't want that attention. Well, the Marine Corps has a little trick where they have you save up all of your mail. They tell you not to mail in treats and stuff like that. And so they would save it up for a few weeks and then they would just let you pig out on it. And we thought we were in heaven, right? I'm like, all right, I don't know who this is coming from, but let's enjoy. Yeah, well, 5 minutes later, they smoke you, work you out until you puke it all back up. So you learn that pretty quickly. I learned that not everybody wants to see you be successful. We don't have to carry that baggage. It's okay. Wish them well. Focus on somebody that you can help in this life. And the box of chocolate also represents humility to me because I was the only person that could speak first person in boot camp. All the other people had to speak third person, and I could only speak first person in the drill instructor's office called a duty hut. And long story short, I was standing in the duty hut one night talking to one of the drill instructors. He's smaller than me, but a ferocious dude. And he says, my wife is on the phone. I want you to sing her love songs. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? But you can't say that to a drill instructor. So he's like, sing I'm Too Sexy to my wife. I was like, okay. So I did that, and that was humiliating. I don't know what lesson that has for any of us, but I thought I would share it with you anyways. All right, pizza box. This represents one of the hardest lessons I learned in Marine Corps boot camp, and that is that you can fail. Marines experience failure, and it's okay to fail there too, right? And you're like, really? Yeah. Even the Marine Corps allows redos. Think about that for a second. So here's the redo. Because I was the recruit leader of my platoon, that often meant that when anybody got in trouble, I got in trouble. So my focus wasn't always on the learning, and we already know I'm not the best learner in the world, right? So it came time for rifle qualification, and I hadn't paid attention very much because I was doing guide stuff. That was my role. And so the entire company, hundreds of Marine recruits, go to fire their weapons and you watch each other qualify. We get through the first round, we're like, whew, glad that's done. And well, they came up to me, right? Leader of my platoon, 60 other guys just from my platoon looking at me. And they're like, Harper, you failed. I'm like, what do you mean I failed, right? You can't say that. You can't even speak in first person. So you're like, okay. And they're like, not only did you fail, you shot on the other dude's target every single time. Woo, that's painful. I'm like, okay, well, I'll try again. Now there's only a handful of you and a few hundred watching the handful trying to qualify. You get 3 chances. Because if you can't become a rifleman in the Marines, you cannot become a United States Marine. Okay, pressure's on. I gotta perform. Make sure I'm squared away. I shoot, gave it my all, right? It's a long process. And they come up to give us the results, and they're just laughing at this point. And they're like, Harper, you shot on the other dude's target again. I'm like, how on earth is this even possible? And at that point, even though it's not cool to cry in the Marines, we still do, I was crying. I didn't know what to do, right? This was gonna be my career. This was my brotherhood. This was my next family. I had an unlikely leader pull me aside. Okay, your drill instructors in Marine Corps boot camp are all enlisted. You can figure that out if you don't know what that is. And then you have people who went to college and then joined the Marines. Those are officers. One of the officers pulled me aside. He said, we don't need to speak third person. I'm a human, you're a human. I need to tell you something. You got this. He said, but you're gonna have to get over your nerves. You have to focus on something other than the target. You gotta focus on something other than the challenge. For me, Chris calls me by my first name. I focus on the ocean. It calms me down. And I was like, okay, thank you, sir. Really appreciate it. I'm gonna go knock this out. And I said, I have one request. Well, you remember those giant glasses I had as a kid? They also issued me some in boot camp, but I made a deal with my senior drill instructor that I didn't have to wear them because I get headaches with glasses. And turns out years later, I found out I didn't even need glasses. So I'm trying to qualify with my rifle with the wrong glasses. I couldn't see anything. And you don't want to wear the glasses of the Marines. They're called BCGs, birth control glasses. So you're not really the cool kid if you wear them. Long story short, I said, I just have one request. Can I ditch these glasses? He's like, sure, no problem. I went and I qualified near the top now. But as a constant reminder, you get the lowest reward, the lowest medal. It's just a square box. And you have to wear that on your uniform often to show off your failure to other people. And it's called the pizza box in the Marines. I'm gonna speed up a little bit here now and tell you the hardest lesson I learned at boot camp. And that is, at the end of boot camp, I had now gone through 3 months of torture with these guys. They had become my brothers. And in the Marine Corps, we have a saying that leaders eat last. And it's not just a saying, it's a way of life. You take care of the people around you, then you can make sure you're taken care of as well. That can be tricky at times. But long story short, I always had to make sure everybody, all 60 guys, ate before I did in boot camp. And then I could eat. And which was tricky because I wasn't big enough for the Marines, so they gave me 2 helpings of everything, which was not very good to go down. But one of the last days in boot camp, my senior drill instructor came in with a giant carne asada burrito. And it's from San Diego, right? So, I mean, it was pretty phenomenal. But I couldn't eat it. I could not. He had me sit at the front of our squad bay, look at all the Marines, and eat the burrito. I was bawling the whole time, right? I don't know why he made me do that, but I think it cemented a lesson for my life. I'm here to serve others, right? That's my purpose. I hope you have that purpose as well. I'm gonna fast forward to Korean school. My job in the Marines with my wife, who's behind the curtain over here. She's glad she doesn't have to speak today, but she lends a lot of support and I love her. She's actually a Twin Falls High School graduate. Not good in school, but somehow when I went to test for jobs in the Marines, I scored to where I could choose any job in the Marine Corps. And I wanted to travel the world, so I chose linguistics, and then the Marine Corps chooses for you what language. I was slated. I did 1 week of training of Arabic, and this was prior to 9/11. This was back in 2000. But then I got switched to Korean, and I loved it. Korean was amazing. It was also an opportunity for me to relearn how to learn. I had more meaning and purpose in my life. I was gonna be a Korean linguist. The first days of class, they're all speaking in the foreign language, and they're like, identify the verb. And I'm like, what's a freaking verb, right? Now, some of you I've taught with, and I was a language arts teacher. That's scary, right? But we would have these instructors, all native Koreans with PhDs, many of them who had lived through the Korean War. You would go into one-on-one time with them for speaking practice, and some of them would just break down crying. I didn't know how to handle that. And they look at me and I'm like, why are you crying, Sunsang Nim? How you say teacher in Korean? They're like, oh, you just remind me of an American GI that liberated Korea during the Korean War. You saved my family. I'm like, well, I certainly didn't, but I appreciate the confidence, humbling. And then I had instructors like Kong Sunsang Nim and Woo Sunsang Nim, who were getting up there in years, so they tended to fall asleep in class. So that gave us some time for some shenanigans. And one time, falls asleep, and we're trying to learn Korean. He snaps out of it, he looks at all of us, and he writes this stuff on the board. I don't know what this guy's saying, right? I'm still trying to figure out what parts of speech are. Anybody speak Korean in here? So this is Wansungido Namueso Dolochinda. What does that mean? Well, we thought it had to be something profound. So we're like flipping through our dictionaries, all trying to figure it out together. In the meantime, Sunsang Nim falls back asleep and starts snoring. We're like, what? What world am I living in? Well, we look it up, and it means even monkeys fall from trees. Even monkeys fall from trees. Well, I made a stupid mistake when I was in the Marine Corps, and that stupid mistake cost me greatly. It wasn't an ethical thing. It wasn't something that I could have even predicted. Where I grew up in Missouri, there's lots of poison ivy. I'm deathly allergic to it. Also, deathly allergic to penicillin. Well, both of those things got into my system in the Marine Corps. Well, it was actually poison oak. So I'm in combat training, and I'm leading a squad, and we're trying to, again, leaders eat last. I made sure all my guys were situated so they were completely concealed and they couldn't get taken out. And long story short, I'm the last one to find a spot. There's this beautiful spot that nobody chose. And I'm like, this is amazing. So I go over there, pop my little butt down in the bush, and platoon sergeant walks by before the next platoon or squad comes up. He's like, Harper, you're a freaking idiot. And I'm like, because I got the best spot? What are you talking about? He's like, seriously, you're an idiot. I'm like, why? He's like, you'll find out tomorrow. Well, tomorrow came, and I looked like an elephant. Every part of my body was swollen, right? And in Marine Corps combat training, you don't shower for a month, right? So in boot camp, they gave me penicillin because I couldn't speak in first person. This recruit requests permission to not take penicillin, sir. Shut up, get in line, right? So I got penicillin. And then in combat training, I got deeply infected with poison oak. And the dumb decision I made as a young Marine leader was, you got two options, Harper. You can go and get the proper medical care and wait for another platoon, AKA the Marine Corps doesn't have any money. So you gotta wait a long time to pick up training. AKA you're gonna be cleaning toilets, guarding empty barracks rooms, and mowing lawns for 2 months until it's time to pick up another platoon. Or you could go see the doctor, get some medicine, get one shower, come back out to the field and finish out the next 3 weeks. Well, you know, tough guy, young Marine, I'll do the latter. So I chose that, and then I started getting sick, incredibly sick. My system started to shut down. And this is kind of where my career in the Marines went 2 ways at once. I started getting promoted really fast. So I went from a recruit in boot camp to meritoriously promoted private first class, to then lance corporal to sergeant in less than 2 years, which is really fast in the Marine Corps. Well, at the same time, my system was attacking itself and they couldn't figure it out. And so the picture on the right, I was getting promoted to sergeant, but I knew just months from then, I was gonna be discharged honorably from the Marine Corps. One of the hardest things in my life, this is 2003. If you do a little history, after 9/11, my brothers and sisters were now going to war, and I'm going home with what my buddies called my stomach monkey. Even monkeys fall from trees. But that's not where the story ends, because I met a beautiful young woman who was in the Army. Almost lost my chance with her because in the Marines we're told not to date the Army privates, especially if you're a non-commissioned officer. So she tried to talk to me one day on base, and I wasn't having it because I didn't really want to be in trouble that day because there was an officer right next to me. So she thought I was a big fat jerk. And luckily, we got to meet again. And now we've had 6 wonderful children. 4 of those children have attended or are attending Twin Falls High School. You might know Chloe and Brooke. Those of you that have been here a while, you might know Cody, crazy kid. He's on a mission now in the Philippines, living in a third world country. That's good for that kid. And then our oldest, Casey, has a kid now. It's just a beautiful life. So many good things come. But I'll abbreviate this. My GPA in learning Korean was a 3.5. Going out of the Marines, even though I didn't get to stay and that was really hard, it provided a foundation for me to serve through education in the future. I had 45 credits of Korean, right? And then I had a bunch of other leadership credits and stuff like that that I could roll into attending at CSI, and I eventually did that. But my question for you here to pause on for just a second, and I really mean this, right? In the trial, we don't often think of them as blessings, but how have challenges in your life helped strengthen your foundation, right? It'll make you a better person. Right now, I'm working with my family, my brother-in-law's business. A lot of his kids work for him, and they're dealing with some infighting and challenges. And the one brother that I was talking to, one of his kids, he's like, dude, like all the other younger kids had it easier than me. And I said, but Luke, like look at the blessings you have. You're ready for leadership now. It's gonna take them a while. Aren't you grateful for that? He stopped and thought about that for a second. Okay, we're getting closer to an end here. I leveraged my service in the Marine Corps to redefine another direction to find purpose and meaning in life. I wasn't done serving. I became a teacher in the Twin Falls School District for a number of years. I coached cross country. It was a wonderful time in my life. I'll tell you just one little funny story here. This is not how you want to be remembered as a teacher, but it's how I will go down in the Twin Falls School District. After I coached cross country one day, we were at an away meet. We came back. There was a football game happening. I was standing outside the fence, tired, right, ready to go home to my family, but I also tried to be involved in the students' lives outside of the class. Even though I wasn't a football coach, right, I wanted to show up for them, or girls basketball, or whatever else. So there I am, right, watching the football game, halftime comes, and a dude only wearing a sock runs across the field. The athletic director automatically turns back to me, nods his head, and I'm like, I guess it's go time. So I hop a couple fences, chase the kid across the field, over to Perrine Elementary, and then helped him get some clothes and then walked him to the office. Well, if you chase down a streaker in the Twin Falls School District, it will stick with you. In fact, my wife said she was just talking to somebody I taught with this week. And she said, yeah, I was talking to that one student. This gal was telling my wife, I was talking to that one student. He's like, you remember that time Harper chased down the streaker? And I'm like, that sounds like Uncle Rico legends. I don't want to be part of that. Anyways, right? It's fun to have fun in life. It's fun to make those kind of memories. I wouldn't trade it for the world, to be honest with you. But my friends, I want you to remember, life, we often think of that resume at the beginning. It's all lined out, it's detailed, right? Cool stuff has happened in your life. Plot diagram. No, this is life. You and I know that. We all know that. But my message is to you is to not give up hope, right? If you're struggling with something, I'll tell you, right? Even as adults, sometimes we have to revisit things that we put away for years. In the past few years, I got some counseling to go back to strengthen my foundation from when I was a kid. I didn't know some of those things were still bothering me, right? But I'm glad I did. I had people encourage me to do that. Wherever you're at in the messiness of life, just remember that other people are as well. Be kind. Do kind things for people, even if it's never going to be seen, because it has a huge impact in life. That impact is, imagine this, 1.8 GPA in high school, And recently, before I started helping my family's business for this period, who knows what's next, I was the director of the Teaching and Learning Center at the College of Southern Idaho. 1.8 GPA to that. I helped lead the P20 conference, one of the largest education conferences in Idaho. The ISTEM conference, one of the best professional developments for teachers in Idaho, right? My life has truly been blessed, but I can't take credit for it, at least not all of it, because people stepped up in my life when they didn't have to. And that will pay dividends forever in my family. Because my mom, who I talked about a little bit, we ultimately lost her to suicide. We have a nephew that we lost to suicide. My brother, who we made different choices at a pivotal time in our lives, he has been in and out of jail since that time. And it makes life challenging for me at times because our social security numbers are the same except for the last digit. So I'll let you fill in the blanks there. Do I have any hate or ill will? No. I have lots of love and empathy, and I think about, a 12-year-old and a 14-year-old made a decision. I hope for all of you that you make the kind of decisions today, small decisions, one after the other. Keep putting your feet in front of you. That will pay dividends for the rest of your life. I would not have them if other people didn't invest in me. Thank you so much for hearing my story, allowing me to be part of SOS's campaign this week of purpose and meaning. And I would like to, the last just couple minutes here, if you have any questions or thoughts or experiences that you would like to share, Brooke will be our runner with a microphone, or you can shout it. Yeah. You go far enough in leadership and you know it's not about you. While it's cool to tell my story, what's even cooler is to hear from you. Like, what's going on in your lives, right? What are some challenges you've overcome? How are you helping each other? What are cool things you're seeing happening at school with kindness? Any thoughts? Or better teaching practice, what are your thoughts? Yes. Okay, Brooke's coming. Brooke does not love this, so I sure appreciate you guys cheering her on.
So I kind of have not a similar experience at all, but I've struggled with a few things. For example, I struggled with addiction.
Sure.
And when I was dealing with it, I would always have doubts that people would think poorly of me, and that people would see me as this really terrible person. And that's what I thought. I thought I was a terrible person. But as I've started sharing my story with my friends and people close to me, no one has, I don't think anyone has thought of me any differently, and they all treat me kindly. And so I'm grateful for all the friends and people that have put faith in me and are proud of me for.
What's your name?
I'm Eli Arias.
Eli, thank you so much for sharing that. Got one over here. And in response to that, Eli, I'll just say I applaud your bravery for speaking up. And it's weird in this life that we think other people don't have problems. We all have problems, right? So kudos to all of you friends that support him in life. And kudos to you for supporting them. Yes?
My name is Cooper Vera. When I was 2 years old, my parents got a really bad divorce, and it put me in kind of a depression after I got older and learned about it. And my dad and mom would constantly fight. And I fell into a really deep depression because my mom chose to move with her abusive husband, my stepdad, and chose drugs instead of me and moved across the country. And so for about 4 years, I've been in a very deep depression and struggling with suicidal thoughts. And those thoughts have also gotten me in trouble with the law. And I'm currently facing consequences for actions that I have had or things that I have done. And I just wanted to share that.
Thank you. Sincerely. It might seem like to you, let's just you and I talk for a second, that you can't see the end from where you're at right now. But if you just keep moving your feet, being honest with yourself, getting help wherever you need help, but also losing yourself in small ways to serve others, there is so much hope in the future. Okay? Thank you for sharing that. Let's go one more or two more. There in the middle. Can you speak loudly or you need the mic? Might need the mic. Okay. I don't know what that said. I'm like partially deaf. I'm blessed with both teacher hearing when I need it, but I generally can't hear people. Okay, right there first. Thank you, Brooke.
Hi, I'm Abigail McNeil. I went through some abuse when I was little, and it was really hard. And in middle school, I got bullied, and I am currently trying to graduate high school. I did fail a couple of classes, sophomore year and freshman year, and then this year I'm doing kind of better. But I am also living with my mom who adopted me. I was 6.5 when that happened. I didn't really know what my life was going to look like. And it was really hard for me at first. And then I made some friends in middle school. And after that, it's been a lot better. I am also living with my older brother who is 18. He had some problems with drugs and abuse, and it's been harder for me to get over that. And then I have another brother. He is also 18. I don't know if you guys know Jonathan McNeil. He is living in Jerome right now. He is struggling with money financially. He has had some troubles with drugs as well. And it's been harder for him as well, so I'm just hoping that he can stay where he's at, live like a better life. And same for me, because I have had so many struggles. And yeah, I'm just hoping that my life can be a lot better than what it is right now.
Thank you. And your name's Abigail?
Yeah.
Thank you, Abigail. We'll do one more in the middle, Brooke, back there. Abigail, let me say this just in response to your courage to share there. I haven't mentioned this throughout this, but it's okay to set boundaries too, right? That if somebody's doing things in our life that are really harmful to us, you can still love that person and then find an appropriate boundary with them as well. So you can care, but you don't have to carry somebody else's load.
Hi. My name's Leo, and I was the kid who got hit by a car.
Yikes.
It's all right. It was a while ago, back during last year. The worst that happened was I sprained a wrist, but the main thing to take out of it, actions have consequences.
Yeah.
And also, you are mortal. You will die.
Yeah, true, right?
So just watch what you do.
Thank you.
It's dangerous.
Thank you for that profound wisdom, true. Okay, just parting thoughts here real quick. My high school experience was pretty rough and tumble. Kids picked on each other quite a bit. And I've heard from all of my kids that have attended here that very little of that happens at times. That generally there is a lot of support, love, and encouragement. That doesn't happen by accident. So teachers, kudos to you. Administration, excellent work. Students who support each other, you're the reason why we're all here. Okay, go forth and do good work, my friends. Thank you.